I didn't expect my hands to shake like that, but they did. Clutching the piece of paper from the clinic, I sat frozen in the car, staring ahead like the world had just stopped turning. The words blurred, but I didn't need to read them again. Pregnant. Twins. Two little lives. Inside me. I should have been laughing, calling someone, telling everyone. But instead, I sat there in silence, because deep down I knew this joy wouldn't last. My name is Ol Tereshchenko, and this is the story of how my best friend betrayed me when I needed her most, at the most vulnerable, miraculous moment of my life. I've always wanted children. Not someday, not maybe, I ached for them. But life kept saying no. Wrong men, wrong time, wrong health. Until finally, at 35, I was forced to accept that if I ever wanted to be a mother, I had to do it alone. No husband. No ring. No romance. Just science. IVF. Donor sperm. A gamble with everything I had left physically, emotionally, and financially. It had taken months of injections, tests, tears, and silent prayers. I sold jewelry. Took out loans. Every penny I had went into this one fragile hope. And it worked. I was pregnant. With twins. But the universe, in its cruel sense of humor, decided that on the day I finally got the news, the same day I should have been dancing in the street, it would also begin to destroy everything else. I work as deputy director at a small travel agency. I helped build it from the ground up, side by side with my best friend, Natalia. She started it, but I kept it alive. She had the title, the office, the car, but I had the backbone. When her business was crumbling, I didn't walk away. I fixed her spreadsheets at midnight. I dealt with screaming clients, grumpy vendors, and 1,000 things she never noticed. She called me her right hand. I called her sister. I was wrong. The call from the clinic came early in the day. Something wasn't right with my latest test results. They needed me to come immediately. My heart stopped. I couldn't drive myself, my hands were shaking too hard. So I did the one thing I promised I wouldn't. I asked Talik, Natalia's personal driver, to take me. Are you sure? He asked. Yes. Please. Just don't tell her. I thought it would be fine. We were friends. She'd understand. She didn't. When I returned to the office that afternoon, she was waiting. Arms crossed. Eyes cold. Voice louder than it needed to be. Where the hell were you? Who gave you permission to take my car? My driver? What is this, your personal Uber? Her words hit like slaps. People stared. Phones stopped ringing. Even the intern froze with her coffee halfway to her lips. Natalia, please. Let's talk in private. It's Natalia Vasilivna. And you don't get to decide what's private. I wanted to scream. This woman knew everything. She knew I had fibroids. She knew this pregnancy was my last chance. And yet, she humiliated me. So I told her the news. I'm pregnant, I whispered. Her face didn't change. Twins. From a donor. Still nothing. A slow blink. A tight smile. Congratulations, she said coolly. Now get back to work. That night, I stayed at the office. She had thrown a massive project at me with a deadline that made no sense. Sales are falling in Asia, she barked. Fix it. You're the deputy director, aren't you? It was like she wanted to break me. I sat there, eyes burning, belly cramping, heartbreaking. All I wanted was to feel joy, to talk to someone, to share this moment. But instead, I was drowning in spreadsheets while my supposed best friend acted like I'd stolen something from her. The next day was worse. She called me into her office. Calm now. Even sweet. Oh, sit down. You're not in trouble. She smiled. That smile I used to trust. You're still my best friend. I love you like a sister. But business is business. Then why the public scolding? Why scream at me in front of everyone? You took my driver. You vanished. What kind of deputy does that? I told you. It was the fertility clinic. It was urgent. I don't care. You should have told me. Not Talik. Her voice cracked slightly. A hint of something I didn't understand. Was it jealousy? Was it fear? And this donor, she added, who is he? That's private. Come on, Ol. You can tell me. Who is he? But I didn't answer. I had a weird feeling then. Like there was something more behind her questions. Something dark. I thought it would pass. That she was just having a bad day. So I focused on my babies. I thought, no matter what happens, I have them. But Natalie, yeah. She wasn't done. She started cutting me out of meetings, assigning my tasks to others, giving my reports to our intern, Vera, and acting like she was the new deputy. Then came the insults, the warnings, the thinly veiled threats. And still I stayed. I kept working. I told myself it would pass. But it wouldn't. Because what I didn't realize yet was that Natalia wasn't just angry. She was planning to erase me completely. And she would do it no matter the cost. At first, I told myself I was being paranoid. But something had changed in Natalia, and it wasn't just stress. She had always been dramatic, a little bossy, sure. But now, she looked at me like I was the enemy. She'd whisper with Vera behind closed doors. She'd forget to forward me important emails. She even removed my access to a shared folder and claimed it was a technical error. Every day felt like walking into a trap. Still, I tried to be patient. "You're pregnant," I whispered to myself in the mirror. "Protect your peace. Focus on the babies." But then the cruel part came. She started talking about me loudly in front of others. "Ol's been so slow lately. Maybe it's the hormones. Is it true she used a donor? Wow. Bold. I just don't know if she's fit to lead anything right now." I overheard every word. And when I finally confronted her in private, she didn't even blink. "You're making people uncomfortable," she said, sipping her designer latte. "By being pregnant?" "No. By being needy. No one wants to hear about your symptoms, Ol." I stared at her, stunned. "I've barely said a word. I haven't asked for special treatment." "Well, maybe you should take some leave," she interrupted. "For your own health." Her smile was sharp. "Is that an order?" I asked quietly. "Of course not," she said sweetly. "It's a suggestion." That was the moment I realized. She wanted me gone. Not later. Now. I didn't take leave. I showed up every day, even when my back ached and my feet swelled and my chest burned with anxiety. I powered through meetings while silently praying my babies were still okay inside me. Then one morning, I walked into the office and saw a letter on my desk. "Due to restructuring and poor performance, we regret to inform you." My blood ran cold. It was signed by Natalia herself. My best friend. My so-called sister. The woman I'd built this company with. She fired me. Just like that. No warning. No severance. No mercy. I rushed to her office, paper in hand, heart pounding. "What is this?" I demanded. "It's business," she said calmly. "Don't make it emotional. You're firing me while I'm pregnant? You're not a partner, Ol. You were an employee. And lately, not a very useful one." I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. "I gave you everything," I whispered. "I stayed up nights fixing your messes. I carried this company while you were on vacation in Milan, in Dubai, in Paris, and I paid you for it," she snapped. "Now take your things and go." I stood there, heart racing, fighting the urge to collapse. But then she added one more thing. "And Ol, congratulations. On the twins." Her voice dripped with sarcasm. "Hope you find a father eventually." I didn't cry right away. I went to the clinic first, just to make sure the babies were okay. They were. Their hearts were strong. Their little forms flickered on the screen like magic. The doctor smiled and said, "They're fighters, just like their mama." That's when the tears came. Because I realized I had no job, no partner, no safety net. Only these two tiny hearts inside me, and a life I now had to rebuild from scratch. A week later, I filed a formal complaint. Unlawful termination. Discrimination. Maternity rights. I gathered evidence, screenshots, emails, witness statements. But Natalia was clever. She'd covered her tracks. Performance issues, she said. Documented warnings. All fake. All prepared in advance. She was preparing to cut me out long before the pregnancy test even turned pink. And yet, people believed her. Even the lawyer I spoke to frowned and said, without direct proof, "It's her word against yours." But it wasn't just about the job anymore. It was about betrayal. It was about the woman who swore to stand by me, and instead chose to stab me the moment I became inconvenient. Then, something strange happened. A week after I was fired, I got a call. Blocked number. At first, I ignored it. But they called again. I picked up. Silence. Then, a voice. Low. Raspy. Male. You're not safe, Ol. Stop asking questions. Stay quiet. Click. I stared at my phone, heart racing. Who is that? I hadn't asked questions yet. I hadn't spoken publicly. But clearly, someone thought I might. Clearly, Natalia wasn't working alone. And if that was true, if there was more going on behind the scenes than just my firing, then my babies weren't just at risk from stress or grief. They were in real danger. After that phone call, I didn't sleep. I kept replaying the voice in my mind, cold, unfamiliar, threatening. Who was it? And why would they say I wasn't safe? Was this about Natalia? Or something else entirely? I started to second-guess everything. Every glance from a stranger. Every message. Every shadow behind me when I walked to the store. But I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. Not even Talik. Yes, Talik. The man who had been my rock through all of this. The man who, until a few months ago, had just been Natalia's driver. Now, he was the only person who hadn't abandoned me. And ironically, the biological father of my children. It wasn't supposed to be like this. He was just a donor. Anonymous, professional, discreet. But after the insemination, we started talking. Then laughing. Then spending time together. He made me feel human again. He listened. He cared. And when I was fired, he was the only one who said, "Come over. Let's talk. I'll help." He even offered to sell his old car to pay for my medical bills. I refused, of course. But still, the gesture meant more than he knew. One night, as I was packing up some old boxes in the apartment, I found an envelope wedged behind a bookshelf. No name, no return address. I opened it. Inside, several printed emails. All from Natalia. All about me. They were from her private work account. The first one was to someone named D.S. Holdings. She's getting too close. We need her out before she asks more questions. Another one. Delay the payment. Say we never received her report. If she pushes, we'll use the clause about personal instability. Her pregnancy will help sell it. My hands trembled. There were at least 6 messages like that, calculated, cold, incriminating. And worse, one of them mentioned a name I hadn't heard in years. And make sure she never finds out about Anatoly's past. My blood froze. Anatoly? Talik? The next day, I confronted him. He looked stunned. Ashamed. And then, slowly, he told me everything. I used to be her husband, he said. I stared at him, not breathing. Years ago. Before the agency existed. We were young. Wild. Stupid. We started the company together, just the two of us. I made some mistakes. Some big ones. Tax fraud. Bad deals. And when things went south, she cut me loose. Divorced me. Let me take the fall so she could come out clean. You went to prison? I whispered. He nodded. 3 years. And then she hired you as her driver? Talik laughed bitterly. She needed a fall guy. Someone she could control. But she didn't expect I'd still have access to her files. Or that I'd meet you. The pieces were falling into place. The late-night whispering. The warnings. The sudden rage when she learned I was pregnant. She hadn't just fired me out of jealousy or spite. She was covering her tracks. And I had walked right into it. I took the emails and copies of Talik's signed confession to a journalist friend I hadn't spoken to in years. She was skeptical at first. But once she read the documents, her eyes widened. Holy hell, she whispered. This could blow up the whole company. Maybe even bring charges. I don't care about revenge, I said. I just want her to stop. I want to protect my kids. She promised to publish within a week. To verify every detail. To give me the final say before anything went public. But I never got that far. Because 2 days later, my apartment was broken into. Nothing was stolen. Nothing was damaged. But the message was clear. My files were gone. Only those. Not my laptop. Not my phone. Just the manila folder with the original emails. They knew. They knew what I had. And now, I had nothing. I was ready to give up. I was tired. Broke. Pregnant. Alone. But then, something inside me snapped. A fire I didn't know I had. They thought I'd fold. But they didn't know me. They didn't know my babies. We were fighters. And if Natalia wanted a war, she just got one. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake in the dark, one hand on my belly, listening to the silence. My babies were kicking as if reminding me they were there. That I couldn't give up. Not now. So I called Talik. I asked him to meet me at the old cafe across from our former office. The same place Natalia and I used to drink coffee and dream up the future. Now it felt like a battlefield. Talik looked tired. Worn down. But he didn't hesitate. I'm in, he said. Whatever you need. I'm not letting her destroy you. We began by writing everything down: dates, events, messages, patterns of manipulation. We created a digital trail, one that couldn't be erased or stolen. Cloud backups. Off-site storage. We got smarter. Then we made our move. Our first visit was to an old colleague, Roman. He used to be head of accounting before Natalia forced him into early retirement. We found him in a small dacha outside the city, drinking tea and feeding chickens. At first, he wanted nothing to do with it. But when I showed him what I had and told him what Natalia had done to me, his eyes hardened. I kept records, he said. I knew she'd try to bury me. He handed me a USB drive. It contained 5 years' worth of questionable transactions, most of them pointing directly to her private accounts. Kickbacks. Tax evasion. Falsified invoices. I was too scared to expose her back then, Roman said. But maybe it's time. With Roman's data and Talik's history, we had something solid. But it still wasn't enough. We needed a witness. And that's when I did the unthinkable. I called Vera. The same Vera who took my place. Who wore my title, sat at my desk, and stabbed me in the back without blinking. She picked up after the second ring. Hello. It's Ol. Silence. Meet me, I said. Please. She came. To my surprise. No makeup. No blazer. Just Vera, tired, nervous, human. You win, she said before I even opened my mouth. She's turning on me. Said I'm incompetent. That I ruined the Asian portfolio. She's looking for a reason to fire me. I didn't gloat. I simply nodded. And now? I asked. She changed the server passwords. I can't access anything. But she pulled out her phone. I still have these. Photos. Of her desktop. Spreadsheets. Emails. Internal memos. And then she whispered. She's planning to dissolve the company and move to Spain. She's liquidating everything under a shell corporation. I felt the blood drain from my face. She's what? Vera nodded. She'll be gone within 2 months. You and I will be left with nothing. Even Talik. He doesn't know yet. That was it. That was the final nail. I went straight to the police. Then the tax bureau. Then the Ministry of Justice. It took hours. Days. But piece by piece, the truth came out. I handed over the documents. The records. The phone with the photo evidence. I told my story, from the moment I learned I was pregnant to the moment Natalia turned on me. They were shocked. Some didn't believe me at first. But by the end of the week, there was an open investigation. And by the end of the month, Natalia's assets were frozen. She never made it to Spain. The day they came to arrest her, I was at home. Sitting on the couch. Feet up. A cup of chamomile in my hand. And a soft lullaby playing in the background. I didn't go watch. Didn't need to. Talik called me. They took her in cuffs. And all I said was, good. A week later, I got a letter. It was official. The agency had been placed under investigation, but operations were frozen indefinitely. Still, there was one bright spot. The board offered me the chance to restructure the business. They wanted me to come back. To rebuild. With full authority. You made this company possible, the letter said. Now help save it. I cried when I read those words. I had nothing but my strength, my story, and my children. And somehow, that was enough. Now I sit in the same office, but everything's different. The name on the door says Old Tereshchenko, director. The staff smiles when they see me. The new assistant brings me herbal tea without being asked. Talik? He's still by my side. Not just as a driver. Not just as a donor. But as a partner. A father. And soon a husband. Because through betrayal and chaos, I found something real. Something strong. Love. And life. 2 little lives, growing inside me. My twins. My future. The calm didn't last. Just when I thought life had finally started to rebuild itself, when the office was buzzing again, and the twins were kicking more each day, a letter arrived. No stamp. No return address. Just my name, handwritten, in all caps. Inside was a single photo. Natalia. In a courtroom. Looking straight into the camera. Smiling. And a note scribbled on the back. Don't think this is over. I dropped it on the floor. My hands were shaking. Talik found me in the kitchen 10 minutes later, white as chalk. What happened? I just handed him the picture. He read it once. Then again. Is this new? He asked. I nodded. They released her, I whispered. Apparently, there wasn't enough direct evidence for prison. The charges were reclassified. She got a suspended sentence and a fine. A slap on the wrist for everything she'd done. But that wasn't what scared me. It was the look in her eyes. The kind of look that says, I'll wait. I'll find my moment. So I doubled my security. Encrypted the office servers. Installed cameras at my apartment. Changed every password I'd ever used. Paranoia? Maybe. But I wasn't just protecting myself anymore. I was protecting my babies. Weeks passed. My belly grew. So did the company. Clients were coming back. The relaunch campaign was a hit. We'd recovered almost 60% of our pre-scandal business. It felt like a miracle. Then one night, while finalizing a deal with a German travel firm, I got a call from an unknown number. I shouldn't have answered. But I did. You think you're safe now? A woman's voice said, cool and calm. Better watch your step, Ol. Not everyone wants to see you succeed. Click. No name. No number. Nothing. I stood there, phone in hand, heart pounding. I knew that voice. Natalia. I tried to shake it off. Tried to tell myself she was all bark, no bite. But then came the audit. Then the anonymous report to Child Services. Then the call to my landlord claiming I was endangering neighbors with toxic substances. Each one investigated and dismissed. But each one more exhausting than the last. Talik wanted to go to the police. But I said no. Because this was her new game. Terror by inconvenience. Slow, quiet sabotage. And I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction. Instead, I focused on what mattered. Growing the business. Preparing the nursery. Counting tiny socks and choosing baby names. I kept moving. Kept smiling. Even when I cried in the shower at 2 a.m. Then, one late Friday afternoon, Vera walked into my office. Yes, that Vera. I nearly called security. But she raised her hands. I'm not here to fight, she said. I'm here to confess. She looked different. Tired. Thinner. I lost everything, she said. No one in the industry will hire me. Word spreads fast. I didn't say a word. I know you hate me, she continued. And you have every right to. But Natalia, she ruined us both. And if you don't act now, she'll come back stronger. Why no? I asked. Vera sighed. Because I got another call from her. She wants me to hack your new client database. She offered me money. A ticket out. And? I told her no. And I'm telling you, be ready. Then she placed something on my desk. A USB stick. Her new shell company. The one in Spain. She's still planning to rebuild, using your stolen clients, your contacts, your model. I took it. Vera turned and walked out without another word. This time, I didn't hesitate. I took the evidence to the authorities. Again. This time, I had the media on my side. And witnesses. And a name in the industry that people respected. The backlash was swift. Natalia was publicly exposed. Again. But now, people believed it. The travel press tore her apart. Former employees spoke out. Even Talik gave a televised interview, calmly explaining everything she had done to him, to me, to the company. When the final lawsuit hit the court, Natalia fled. She vanished. Interpol issued a watch notice, but no one's seen her since. Maybe she's hiding. Maybe she's waiting. But for now, she's gone. The twins were born one sunny morning in late spring. 2 girls. 2 miracles. I named them Sophia and Maya. They were perfect. Dark curls like their father. Big, curious eyes. Talik held them both at once, tears running down his cheeks. "Never thought I'd be a dad," he whispered. "You're more than a dad," I said. "You're the reason they're here." We were no longer just survivors. We were a family. A real one. Sometimes I still think about Natalia. About what broke her. About why she couldn't let go. Was it greed? Jealousy? Or something deeper, something that had nothing to do with me? I don't know. But I do know this. She doesn't live in my head anymore. She doesn't control my story. I do. And this time, it's a story of love. Of courage. Of rebirth. Because life is full of storms. But sometimes the storm clears. And leaves you with something beautiful. People always ask me, would you do it all again? And I never know how to answer. Because how do you explain what it feels like to rebuild your entire life while growing 2 new ones inside you? How do you measure pain against love? Yes, Natalia tried to ruin me. Yes, I lost everything, my job, my home, my trust in people. But in the fire, I found something she never had. Purpose. I remember sitting on the hospital bed, holding both girls in my arms, their tiny fists curled against my chest, and realizing this was the ending I didn't even know I deserved. Not revenge. Not triumph. Peace. The company kept growing. Not explosively, I didn't want that anymore. Just steadily. We focused on ethical travel, small group experiences, family tours. And for the first time, my name meant something more than just co-founder. It meant survivor, mother, leader. Clients began asking for me personally. And every time someone said, "I heard what you went through, and I trust you," I felt something heal. Talik became a rock. He didn't ask for a title, didn't push for a wedding. He just showed up, changed diapers, cooked dinners when I was too tired to stand, kissed my forehead after 14-hour workdays, sat up with the girls when they were sick, singing them off-key lullabies that somehow always worked. He was gentle, present. And one night, as I rocked Maya to sleep, I looked at him across the room and whispered, "Let's get married." He didn't smile. He cried. Our wedding was simple. Just close friends, family, and a city hall office that smelled like fresh paint and lemon soap. Sophia threw up on my dress. Maya cried through the vows. It was perfect. Because finally, everything was real. No masks. No secrets. No games. Just 2 people who had been through hell, choosing each other anyway. Vera moved to another city. She started a nonprofit, something with women in tech. She sent me a postcard once. It said, "I don't deserve your forgiveness. But thank you for not destroying me." I didn't reply. Not out of anger. But because sometimes silence is enough. And sometimes silence is forgiveness. As for Natalia, no one really knows. There are rumors. Someone saw her in Morocco. Someone else claimed she was in Dubai with a new name and a new face. Interpol is still watching. So am I. But I no longer wake up in fear. Because I know who I am now. And I know she can never take that from me again. Last week, I gave a speech at a women's leadership conference. I stood on a stage in front of 400 people, lights in my eyes, babies at home, and I said, "Don't wait for someone to save you. Save yourself. Even if you have to do it barefoot. Even if you're pregnant. Even if they call you emotional, dramatic, or not tough enough. Be all of it and keep going." The room stood. Applauded. I cried. Because that used to be me in the crowd. Watching. Hoping. Wishing I was brave enough. Now I was the one holding the mic. At night, when the girls are asleep and the apartment is quiet, I sometimes sit by the window with tea and think about the past. The betrayals. The lies. The pain. But also, the moments that saved me. The knock on Talik's door when I had nowhere else to go. The echo of my own voice telling Natalia, I'm keeping my babies. The softness in Hannah's hug after the court hearing. The weight of Maya's first breath. The warmth of Sophia's first smile. And I realize, all those dark chapters? They weren't endings. They were beginnings. So if you ask me now, would you do it all again? I'd say yes. 1,000 times yes. Because I found myself. Because I became the woman my daughters will look up to. Because I took everything they tried to bury me with and built a life out of it. Not perfect, but mine. And finally, free.